Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the Isn't It Crazy podcast. If you read the title of the video, this isn't a boohoo for me kind of story, but for the sake of keeping the podcast authentic, I want to talk about things that I lived through, that things that I know about. So I'm not gonna make videos about making a girl come or making $1 million or owning a Ferrari because I haven't done those things. But rest assured, the moment I do, I'll make a video about those things too. Today, I want to talk about not growing up with a biological father. The United States Census says that 1 out of 4 kids in the United States grows up without a father figure in the household. That makes it 19 million kids, boys and girls, who don't have a dad. So maybe you're listening to this video and you're a person who grew up without a dad, or you know somebody that doesn't have a dad. It's a common thing around in Americans' daily life. So the earliest memory I have about being conscious there wasn't a dad in the household was sitting in a family therapy room at school. And there was this poster that said that kids without fathers are more likely to grow up to commit a crime, become a criminal, abuse alcohol and drugs. And I don't think that poster was meant for me to see, but it got ingrained into my head. So from that moment on, I lived with that thought and pressured to not become a criminal or a drunk. And I did experience throughout my life sadness and this feeling of not being wanted by somebody and anger from seeing other kids with their dads. But instead of letting those bad feelings consume me, I used it as motivation to achieve great things. I might not be there right now, but each and every day of my life, there's a voice in the back of my head that puts pressure on me to at least strive to become great. So if you're a person who grew up without a dad or is currently a kid who doesn't understand why he feels angry and sad about the situation, I'm here to tell you that it's normal. I'm here that everybody without a dad feels the same way. Feeling of sadness, of anger, of somebody not caring about you enough to be there in your life or letting you be part of theirs. That's okay and that's normal. And the best way to go about it is to talk to people about it. It could be a friend, it could be a relative, and not necessarily what they're going to say, but necessarily what's happening as you're telling these people your feelings. You understand. One, you vent out all this frustration, but at the same time, you notice that you're talking to somebody that cares about you. So it means that you're not alone. So it means that you do have people around you that are willing to support you. That being said, it's important to look for a father figure in your life, whether it's a coach or a stepdad or a brother-in-law, somebody to show you the ropes, somebody to show you what it means to become a man. These guys aren't perfect, but if you take the good parts about them, it could take you a long way. I know it helped me growing up. I would look at my stepdad. He wasn't the best person. He did abuse alcohol, but at the end of the day, he treated my mom nice. He corrected us when needed, and he had a great work ethic. Eventually, he did fix his alcohol problem, and now he's somebody that I look up to. So is my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law was always a very motivated individual. He runs his own business now, and like I said, these guys aren't perfect, but these are the things I took away from them. These are the father figures in my life that helped me become the man that I am, or so I think I am. So moving forward, I think about my future and becoming a father and what kind of a father do I want to become. And if you're in the same boat as I am, say you're 26 and maybe you have a kid already or you're thinking about becoming a father. Think about the person you needed as a child. Somebody that cared for you, somebody that was willing to help you in any problem that you had, and become that person for your child. Just because you were mistreated or just because you grew up without a dad doesn't mean that this kid has to go through all that pain and sadness too. Um, when I think about becoming a father, I think about who I needed when I was a kid, and that's the person I want to be. I want to be a very supportive dad. If I have a boy, it doesn't matter to me if he's wearing cleats or ballet shoes. I'm going to be there at every practice or every recital. Whether he likes a girl or a boy, I'm going to invite the people that he loves into my home and have a healthy relationship with my child. Just mold him into a caring, happy, motivated individual that's going to make good choices in life. That's my plan in my life if I become a father. Now, if it's a girl, same thing. Just support her in everything she wants to do and go from there, you know? And lastly, if you're currently going through that as a kid, or you blame your dad for a lot of your failures in life, I'm here to tell you that the one thing that helped me throughout my life was understanding that my father does not define who I am, whether he's here or not. You can use the situation as motivation to become a great person, to do great things, to achieve every single goal that you have. A great man, Steve Jobs, although an asshole, did not grow up with his father. Kanye West did not grow up with his father. For the large part, Drake didn't grow up with his father. These guys, they leaned on their moms or adoptive parents to become great people, to achieve ungodly goals, and not use the excuse that you didn't grow up without a dad to handicap you and impede you from becoming somebody great, becoming a great dad. Not ever understanding what you could achieve without a dad, not truly making it a goal to become a better person without your dad can handicap you. So, if you know anybody who grew up without a dad, or you're somebody that grew up without a dad, the choice is yours. You either use it for motivation, like a chip on your shoulder to prove everybody wrong, the way every single day of my life I wake up and I try to prove that poster wrong, or you could let it handicap you and become a nobody. That's pretty much all I have to say about not growing up without a dad. I'm sure the dads that do leave or aren't there had their reasons, and whatever those reasons are, they don't really matter. And shout out to my stepdad for stepping up. Shout out to the people that I grew up looking up to and showed me how to become a man. I'll thank you guys till the end, to the day I die. So moving on to sports on a lighter note, I want to talk about Kobe Covington defeating Robbie Lawler. It was a snooze fest. It was the most boring fight I've seen. Robbie Lawler was very tentative. He didn't want to throw his hands, and that's why he lost. One of the UFC commentators said that Robbie likes to hold off at the end of a fight, and I think a lot of guys do that. A lot of guys at the end, now they want to throw good combinations. Now they want to start connecting, but it's too late. And if you didn't knock him out in the first two rounds, most likely you're not going to knock him out in the fifth round. So I think Robbie deserves to lose that fight. I think Kobe came at him with a lot of cardio, a lot of pressure. He controlled the fight pretty much end to end. And now he's moving on to either fight Kamaru Usman, or Kamaru Usman could fight George Masvidal. I think the fight between George Masvidal and Kamaru Usman would be more exciting, just because George Masvidal is good on the ground, but he's also, as we saw with Ben Askren, a very dangerous force standing up. If Kobe and Kamaru fight, it's gonna be taken to the ground. It's gonna be a lot of wrestling, and as we know, wrestling isn't the most exciting kind of fight. So I think what they should do is Kobe Covington should fight George Masvidal, and then become the clear-cut number one for Kamaru Usman, depending on how long Kamaru Usman wants to be out. But Dana White will make that decision. I just think the shit talking between Kobe and Kamar would be greater than George Masvidal versus Kamar, but we'll see what happens. I'll keep posted. I'm definitely gonna talk about UFC 241, I think it is. Stipe versus Cormier, but I'll talk more about that next week as the fight day comes near us. In other news, the NFL is back, and I am so excited. And today I want to talk about the 5 teams you should look forward to. In the number one spot, I have the Cleveland Browns. Um, I wish Hard Knocks would have done season 2, just to see what's happening in the mini camps. I'm sure I could find a video of it on YouTube, but they have Baker Mayfield. They pretty much have the best offense in the NFL right now, and then I know that's going to get a lot of criticism. Some might say the Rams have it or the Patriots have it, but at least it's the most exciting offense. They have Jarvis Landry, they have Odell Beckham, and they have Baker Mayfield. Three very outlandish kind of NFL players. So it should be a great team to watch this season. I think they make the playoffs. I think just because they have a rookie coach doesn't mean that this guy doesn't know what he's doing. I think they're gonna make a. I don't think they'll make the Super Bowl, but it'd be great if they did, and it'd be fun to see if they made it. But we'll see what happens. If they could all work together and not get selfish, and Adele could keep the antics to a minimum, I think they have a really long way to go in the NFL. The second team I want to talk about is the Oakland Raiders. They are featured in HBO's Hard Knocks this season. They have AB, they have Gruden. They have a lot of expectations with Gruden's $100 million contract, moving to Las Vegas, and Derek Carr's make it or break it year. I think if Derek Carr has another injury or another bad year, they're going to cut him. That's it. Like, you could give somebody enough chances. If they're not going to produce for you, there's no room for them, especially in a Gruden camp where the first episode of the Hard Knocks, he cut somebody because they weren't producing enough and they weren't putting enough effort. I don't question Derek Carr's effort, but at the same time, I question his ability to produce. They went 4-12 last year, and I think they were the last team in the NFL. So this team is looking to go up, especially with the new stadium, with all the expectations they have. So that's a team you should watch out for and see what happens. See if their goals right now are to make it to the Super Bowl. Obviously, every team's goals is to make it to the Super Bowls, but I think it'd be a successful season if they even made it to the playoffs. So moving on to number 3, one of my favorite teams, the Patriots. They just gave Tom Brady a 2-year contract that it would extend his NFL career to 44 years of age. He said he could play till 45, and a lot of people are skeptical about that. But I just love him proving everybody wrong. I love that underdog story where he has a chip on his shoulder, where people are saying he's too old. Yeah, he keeps winning a lot of Super Bowls. He doesn't have the best teammates around them. I know Gronk is obviously retired, and when you win a Super Bowl, you tend to trade pieces and bring in new pieces. Everything has to do with the NFL cap, but we'll see what Belichick could come up with, and we'll see if Tom Brady could do it again. I think he has one more championship in him, but we'll see how the division, especially being in a weak division, if they could get the right pieces. The fourth team on my list is the Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott still hasn't played. He's holding out. If you watch this show, you know exactly how I feel about Ezekiel Elliott. But if Dak and the rest of the Cowboys could go 3-0, that changes the leverage to see we don't need Ezekiel Elliott to become a good team. Ezekiel has been suspended in the past season, so it's nothing new for these Cowboys to go into a season without their running back. It's just the same old thing, and if anything, they learned from the previous seasons, and their expectations aren't hinged on whether he comes back. They're just moving forward, and I love to see that. I think Ezekiel Elliott is a drama queen. He's asking for a lot. He shouldn't get paid just because he willingly signed a contract, and at the end of the contract, he's like, I'm not cool with this anymore. So if you're gonna sign something, honor it. If not, then get traded. I don't know. Send him to the Bills. Send him to a shitty team. I don't really care. And lastly, at number 5, we have to look at a team that made a lot of big moves in the NFL draft. They got rid of Josh Rosen. They got rid of their coach, and they brought in a team that was successful in college. And I'm talking about the Cardinals and Cliff Kingsbury and Kyle Murray. They had a lot of success at Oklahoma, but we'll see if that could translate into the NFL. A lot of college coaches have came to the NFL, like Chip Kelly and the Eagles, and their offense just didn't translate into the style of play in the NFL, and they are professionals. So the NFL, so if Kingsbury's offensive power or schemes can be translated into the NFL system, they're definitely going to be a team to be reckoned with. But we'll have to see. I'm sure the defensive coordinators and the other teams in the conference are looking at his college plays and trying to think of defensive schemes to try to stop his offense. But we'll see how creative he could get. We'll see how Kyler translates into the NFL. Can he become a leader? I know he's very small. Throw the ball over these 6 foot linemen. It's very important to see what teammates the Cardinals put around Kyler for his ultimate success and how Kingsbury's going to use him to achieve where they want to go. I know the first year of any rookie team is hard, so don't expect a lot. But if they do come out guns hot, it's gonna be a story to talk about. So that's all I got for sports. I'll get more into depth about what NFL teams I think are gonna win the Super Bowl in my next episode, and I just gotta do a little bit more research into it. So bear with me. So just to finish things off, the only thing I have in trending topics right now is Donald Trump blaming video games for the mass shootings that happened this past weekend. I completely disagree with that. I think that Donald Trump is a moron. I think if violent video games prompted these kids to go do that, then Donald Trump must have played a lot of Grand Theft Auto and all he did was buy the hookers. That's the same thing I'm doing that he did. You're accusing without facts. And his notion that violent video games cause this is the same notion that buying a hooker on GTA is what caused him to fuck Stormy Daniels and have that whole fiasco happen. So I think it's misleading. I think that it's not true. Not only is it not true, there's facts to support it. Psychiatrists all over America have done research on the link between violence and violent video games, and the results come as negative. There's no link between those two. And there has been laws on the ban of violent video games. All these laws got rejected by the court system because there wasn't enough evidence to prove that the claims that they were making that violent video games and real life shootings have a connection. There wasn't enough evidence to show the link between violent video games and mass shootings. And so, like any other topic, Donald Trump is wrong. I have a book right here. It's called Fear, and it literally speaks about how every person that helps Donald Trump understands he's a moron. And it's just pretty much a shit talking thing, but they say that a lot of his claims are made without fact checking. They're just made to divert the focus. And that's exactly what he's doing now. He's diverting the focus from the real issues of mass shootings, which are mental health issues, gun law issues, and the inability for the FBI and our local law enforcement to weed out these individuals. I think if we're going to talk about mass shootings, another big problem is that every time a mass shooting happens, yes, it's newsworthy, and every outlet is going to talk about it because it gets clicks and notions, but you're making these people famous. And I think that's one contributor to why these guys do it. The last guy literally took out a book before he did it, in his manifesto to why he did it. He knew everything was going to be reported on. So he knew he had to dot his P's and Q's and make a reason why so they could show it to everybody. And I think Donald Trump is trying to avoid these serious talks, especially with that kid, because the manifesto talks about the invasion. And Donald Trump asked, how do we take care of the invasion? And somebody screamed out, shoot them. And Donald Trump laughed. And then everybody in the rally laughed. He's trying to take focus away from that very interesting fact and blame it on video games and blame it on other things and try to get it away as possible from that rally and what happened and the thinking that he might have caused this shooting. He might have gave the shooter motivation to go and shoot those people at Walmart. So obviously he's wrong. Obviously I don't agree with it. If you do, don't listen to my shit because you're a moron too and you're going to misinterpret what I say here. So that's all I have to say about that. I thought it was hilarious because I play a lot of video games and I'm not here trying to shoot anybody. I'm not here playing this video game and then fantasizing I'm gonna go do it to a local Walmart. There's no connection in that. I think we should talk about mental health issues, gun law issues, and other stuff like that. That's pretty much my show. I'm running out of time, so if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do that. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers so I could get my own domain name, I guess you could say. Um, but to the people who support me, who watch this all the way to the end of the video, thank you very much, and I appreciate it. So thank you.